The Galactic Metallurgy Summit had never seen a human participant before. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the crystalline hall of the Varathian space station, surrounded by the galaxy's finest forge masters, each representing civilizations that had mastered metalworking for millennia, before humanity had discovered fire. The exhibition blade lay on the quantum display pedestal, its surface rippling with patterns that seemed to flow like water frozen in time. Master Krelix, the Thorian forge lord whose work had been legendary for 3 centuries, held his scanning device over the metal with 4 of his 6 arms, his chitinous faceplates clicking in what Sarah had learned was profound confusion. "Impossible," Krelix said, his translator rendering his bewilderment into perfect standard. "The molecular structure. It is layered. Thousands of layers, each one different in carbon content yet perfectly bonded. No forge in the known galaxy can achieve this precision." The other masters crowded closer. A Xanthari metallurgist extended her crystalline fingers toward the blade, but stopped short of touching it, as if the artifact were sacred. "The pattern is not just aesthetic," she whispered. "It serves a function. The harder layers provide strength. The softer ones provide flexibility. It should not work. The stress points should create fractures." "But they don't," added a Korvathi engineer, his 3 eyes blinking in sequence. "I've analyzed it for hours. This blade could cut through modern composite armor. It would last centuries of use without significant degradation. And yet," he gestured at the flowing patterns on the surface, "it is also art. We separate these concepts, functionality and beauty. This does not." Sarah had been quiet, letting them examine the knife her Uncle Jim had made. She'd brought it on a whim, thinking it might be interesting to show what human craftsmen could do. She hadn't expected it to cause an academic crisis. "How was this forged?" Krelix demanded, turning to face her. His massive form towered over Sarah's slight frame, but there was no hostility in his posture, only desperate curiosity. "What industrial complex manufactured this? What computational systems calculated the fold patterns? How many units did you produce before achieving this result?" Sarah smiled. "My uncle made it in his garage. Took him a weekend. Well, plus a few hours during the week for the handle work." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the ambient hum of the station's system seemed to pause. "Your uncle?" The Xanthari's voice was faint. "Jim Chen, he's a dentist. Makes knives as a hobby. Has a little forge in his garage, you know, the space where you park vehicles. He's got an anvil, a couple of hammers, a propane forge he built from a tutorial on the internet. That's our information network. This one's Damascus steel. It's an old technique, maybe 1,000 years old, give or take. You take different types of steel, layer them, heat them, fold them, hammer them flat. Repeat that a couple hundred times." "A couple hundred times," Krelix repeated slowly. "By hand?" "Well, yeah. That's kind of the point. The pattern comes from the folding. Every blade's unique because you can't control it perfectly. Uncle Jim says that's what makes it fun." A Thorian junior apprentice, barely into his 2nd century, spoke up timidly. "The precision required. The temperature control alone. 1 degree variation would compromise the carbon migration. The timing of each fold, the force applied, He does it by eye," Sarah said. "Watches the color of the metal. When it's the right shade of orange, he knows it's ready. Learned it from watching videos and practicing. Ruined about 30 blades before he got good at it." The masters exchanged glances. Krelix's translator struggled to convey his emotional state, settling on existential confusion. "Let me understand," the Korvathi engineer said carefully. "Your species developed this technology 1,000 years ago. It requires no computational assistance. The knowledge is freely shared on your internet, and practitioners create these objects for recreation? Pretty much. We've got industrial methods now that are more consistent, but some people prefer the old ways. There's a whole community, thousands of people making Damascus steel knives, swords, axes. Some of them sell their work, but most just do it because they enjoy it." Sarah pulled out her phone and brought up Uncle Jim's social media page. "Here he posts pictures of his projects. That's a chef's knife he made for my cousin's wedding. This one's a Sayax, old Viking style. He's working on a katana now, but that's taking longer." She scrolled through images. Blades with patterns like wood grain, like storm clouds, like rippling water. Each one unique, each one impossible by galactic standards. The Xanthari metallurgist sat down, her crystalline structure chiming softly. We have been working on layered metallic composites for 2 centuries. Our best computational models are finest automated systems. They produce military-grade materials with perhaps 50 layers. Your uncle creates thousands of layers in his garage. For fun. This explains so much, Krellick said quietly. The human ships, we analyzed the wreckage from their war with the Kessari. Their armor plating showed similar principles, not Damascus, but the same philosophy. Multiple layers, each serving a purpose, combined in ways that shouldn't work but do. We thought it was their most advanced technology. Oh, that? Sarah shrugged. That's just composite armor. Pretty standard engineering. The really interesting stuff is what we do without computers. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small cloth bundle. Unwrapping it revealed another knife, this one with an elegant curved blade and a handle of dark wood. Uncle Jim made this for me when I got accepted to the summit. Wanted me to have something to remember that humans have been making impossible things long before we reach the stars. She held it out to Krellick. The Forge Master took it with reverence, his scanning devices forgotten. Tell me, he said finally, would your uncle consider taking an apprentice? I have much to learn. Sarah grinned. I'll ask, but fair warning. He'll probably just send you a link to a tutorial video and tell you to practice. That's the human way. The masters gathered around her phone, watching a video of Uncle Jim in his driveway, t-shirt and safety glasses on, hammering glowing steel while explaining the process to his camera. In the background, a dog barked, and someone called out about dinner being ready. The greatest forge masters in the galaxy watched a dentist from Ohio make the impossible look easy, and they understood. Humanity's strength had never been in refusing to attempt the impossible. It was in not realizing something was impossible until after they'd already done it, and sometimes they did it just for fun, on weekends in their garages.